Welcome to the NZ Nomad Runner podcast. I'm Chris Lucas.
And I'm Charlotte Milne.
We're run coaches at CMF Running, where we coach runners and athletes of all abilities to any surface, any distance races. Today we're talking about Auckland Marathon recap. Whoop, whoop.
Woo, woo.
Auckland Marathon recap, and we'll share some recovery tips. You know what to expect 1, 2, 3 weeks after your marathon, after your race.
Yeah, and even immediately afterwards, like today. I don't know about you guys, or about you, Chris, but I'm definitely feeling somewhat tired.
A bit dusty.
The emotional hangover almost kind of feeling. Probably like a lot of you, especially if you were doing the marathon yesterday, we got up. Well, I think we actually woke up at 20 to 3. But I'm guessing a lot of you probably got up around 3 o'clock, 3 a.m.
3:30, yeah.
For the 6 a.m. start. So that's pretty much the middle of the night. And then you obviously, went and ran 42 Ks. And it's probably been a pretty exciting build up, especially if this is a big A race. And it's really common. After a race that, for a couple of days, you're still riding the high, mixture of tired, and then it could come crashing down, or you could just, get on with the next thing. Just depends on the type of person you are, and how much emotional energy you've put into the race.
The emotional sort of recovery part, is the sort of the mental and emotional part is as much as the physical, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah.
It's definitely a big part of it.
Definitely tripped me up in the past. The emotional energy I've put into races has almost tripped me up more so than the physical side. But that's just me, and an area that I would actually like to work on. Because I take myself so damn seriously sometimes. I'm not an elite runner.
Folks that take themselves less seriously probably have a better chance of recovery.
You
know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. We have.
We notice a lot. I mean, because we are coaching runners and athletes. That's what we do. That's what we do for our full-time work. So we have a massive pool of in years of accumulation of feedback loops with runners and athletes, and so we really see the patterns, don't we?
Yeah, and it's almost inspiring. Now there is this one girl in our realm who Chris coaches, and she does lots of races, and she just did she raced Tekapo, and then she did Auckland, and I think she's got the Spectacle coming up, and
100-kilometre Spectacle in Nelson in mid-December, isn't it?
Yes.
And it's like 5,000 metres vert or something, 6,000 or something, isn't it? Yeah, it's a lot.
So yeah,
maybe not. Maybe it's 3. Yeah, something like that.
No,
it's either 3, 4, 5, or 6,000 meters.
It's a lot.
Whatever it is, it's quite a lot for 100k.
But yeah, she just seems to have endless energy and positive outlook, and there's something to be learnt from that. As someone who isn't so much like that, but yeah, it's definitely we get inspiration from clients as well.
Yeah, mindset is so. The amount of physical energy we have is so much tied to our mindset, isn't it? And all sorts of things make up our mindset and where that sort of sits. Yeah, for people, isn't it? It's all, can be community, spiritual life, all kind of things like that. All sorts of things make up one's mindset, isn't it? So much. Like nutrition is part of it as well. How you sleep and recover is part of it. It all contributes to our mindset and our mental well-being, basically, doesn't it?
Definitely, and it's a big topic. And all that, and there's a whole lot of spectrum, and it could deep dive, but instead, I think we'll talk about the Portaloos at the start.
It's another podcast, isn't it, that one?
We'll go back to the start of the marathon and talk about.
Let's start with the Portaloo. First of all, though, actually, just want to thank CMF RUN CLUB members for your support. Without you guys, us putting out this sort of content is not possible. So, really appreciate our RUN CLUB members, our paid RUN CLUB members' support. And we want to start with a bit of a review as well. One of our runners who ran yesterday, her first marathon, about 4.5 hours, Leanne, straight out of the blocks, chucking a review up on Google. So I just want to share that with you guys. Today, I completed my first marathon thanks to Chris and the team at CMF. I would highly recommend any runner at any stage to get coaching from CMF, or at the very least, join the CMF Run Club. The guidance I got along the way was so valuable, helping me feel confident, knowing what pace I should be aiming for based on my personal heart rate zones, and making sure my training would best support that, particularly as injuries happened along the way. Chris went above and beyond, checking in, adjusting my plans, and giving me really great advice and support.
Oh, thanks, Leanne. That's like just such an awesome review, and it was so awesome seeing you out there.
Yeah.
Doing it, running yesterday, and thanks for.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
thanks for that.
And it means a lot, these reviews, like and just feedback that we get from folks, and we had that as well, didn't we, on the race when we were supporting yesterday. We were outside the ferry buildings. Many of you would have seen us. And we did the old thing of like we were on one side of the road as most of the field ran past, and then we crossed the road to see you guys all coming back in. That was a really good place to support, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah. It's like you guys have been, out on the out and back, out in no man's land when you're standing in one spot for like I don't know how many hours we were there.
Yeah.
5? No.
A good few hours.
Yeah.
At that one spot. And prior to that, we were a bit earlier on in the course, and of course, we're at the start line.
Yeah.
So thanks for you guys too running by, and a few people were like, "Hey, listen to your podcast. Thanks very much." So it's like, really cool, and hope it helped you guys in your race.
Yeah, for sure.
Particularly with the there was some conditions, and there's always every year at Auckland there's conditions of some weather conditions of some element to contend with. There's always a condition story at Auckland Marathon each year.
Yeah, there is, and it's just it's a hot topic that we all like to talk about. It's something that no matter your pace, you have to overcome the weather condition. Like it's like a mutual hardness, like for everyone, whether you're winning or if you're at the back of the field. Obviously, it's just tired brain here. It just can be hard because if you're at the faster end of the field, if it's hot, then you have to run harder in the heat. And if you're at the back of the field, then you're out there for longer in the heat, even though your sort of output is lower. So
you're still out there.
It's sort of like the same for everyone, because obviously the sort of faster you are, the higher the intensity, right, in the output.
Yeah, a lot of runners talked about the sort of headwind coming towards the motorway. Once you kind of got on the motorway after Smales Farm there, headwind coming towards the bridge and over the bridge. Not sure if it was crosswind or headwind, but quite a lot of strong wind there. And then again, coming back, I believe there was a bit of wind or a bit of a crosswind, sort of going out. So just that sort of swirling kind of thing, and it makes it challenging. Yep. Definitely heard folks reporting that the wind was challenging.
Yeah, well, wind is just such a tricky weather to run in. It's worse. I often hear, and I would agree, wind is worse than rain, because it's like I was sort of saying to Chris, when it's windy, it's kind of like that ad, when the conditions change, reduce your speed. You've got to adjust your pace to suit the weather conditions, to suit the wind, because if you're trying to hold that 4:40 pace, but there's a strong headwind, that's probably equivalent to
half marathon effort. So we saw that with our runners and athletes that we coach. Our predicted times, we're pretty good at nailing our times. Yes. Not blowing our own trumpet or anything, but no, it's just an experience thing from coaching many runners to Auckland and various other marathons. Is you just get a sense for the time based off data and all sorts of other things. The sense of what sort of time someone's going to do, and we're having a bit of a chuckle because most of our predictions there was just folks were just a few minutes sort of behind their predicted times, weren't they? And that's like the wash up of the bit of wind, And others did reach their goals as well, in terms of what their targets were, and those runners were like cooked. They like went deep into the well, like
Yeah.
When you get a because we were about 2Ks from the finish, where it was, when the runners coming back when we crossed the road, and got a few death stares from a few of our runners as they run by. At that point in the race, you're just too tired to really acknowledge anyone supporting you.
Yeah.
You're just like, and you just get the glance, but I know that they appreciate that support, and that you go, almost there, it means a lot to that runner, even though they don't respond. They just like give you the death stare back, and that's totally fine.
Totally.
In the well, digging that hole. That's great, grinding it out.
More alarming if they were just like, hey, you guys again. Like, it's good. It's good to I think I said in the other podcast, it's good to have fun, but it's also, good to dig deep. Marathons, especially when you're, that sub 4 or sub 3, 4.5, like you've got a target in mind, you want to get it, and that requires to dig deep a little bit at times, and it's worth it at the end.
Yeah.
Sure.
So cool, eh? Yeah, it's so awesome, like, as being on the course supporting, and you just see the spectrum, of what some, we see the spectrum of what different parts of the field go through, or what different individuals go through, and some people have dream runs where everything just clicks into place, and other people don't, and for whatever reason, and so we get to see it all out there.
Yeah, and like Chris said, like it's such a different, when you going out, you've ran like 23 Ks, coming back, you've run like 40 K, you've run 20 extra more, or you've at the 40th K. And like we don't know what's happened to you out there. It's, it's like we're just waiting there. We're the same. And, there's a few people that we may not have seen on the way out, but they definitely came back and they had like, somewhat done a hammy, or they'd been beaten up a little bit by like, the intensity. Like Chris said.
It's like a black hole out there.
Yeah,
the out and back.
Onto the oasis and back.
Yeah. What condition they're coming back in, we don't know.
Yeah. But we'll be there to cheer you on.
Yeah, so it was cool. Oh, and on that note of seeing runners come back towards the finish line, boy Russell, you legend, as we were standing there supporting, he came back, ran back, and on his race bib it said, "Will you marry me?"
Mm-hmm.
And we were like, uh-oh, what the hell's going on here? And that was like pretty amazing. And so if you haven't seen it yet, jump onto the Auckland Marathon Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and you'll see a reel of our man Russ doing the proposal. Got his PB, sub 3:30, which is what he was going for, and got engaged all on the same day.
Oh, wow. It must have been riding high after that.
Yeah. So that's just like epic. That's just legendary. So congratulations to you guys. That's so cool. Such a cool story, right?
Yeah, for sure. It was so funny because on I don't know, I can't quite remember if I saw Russ on the way out, but I noticed like on the way back, I don't know, I must have been getting like really into it, and I was reading out heaps of people's names on their bibs. And then I was like, saw Russ running past, and it said, "Will you?" Like I read it out. I was like, "Will you marry me?" And then I was like, "Oh, he's not going to propose to, his now fiance." It's like you don't have that on your bib if you're not going to.
Yeah. I can't imagine what the bandwidth would have been, because it's hard enough closing out the last 7 to 10 Ks in a marathon anyway, but knowing that you're going to do that at the end, and you're trying to reach a time goal as well at the same time, and that's just epic. And he was one of the ones that gave me the death stare actually as well. He was digging, he was grinding hard, like that's what you see, people running for a higher purpose. Sometimes you'll find another depth to dig into, and that's what he said to me. Actually, we were messaging last night, and he's like, that's the deepest I've ever gone into the well, like grinding to close out a race. And I was like, yeah, man, that was awesome. Could see it out there.
Yeah, that's particularly, it's another sort of bouncing all over the place here, but just you stand there for a few hours, you see, like Chris said, so many different types of runners and the depth that they're going in, and it's quite interesting to observe, because you don't really know what's going on, because like a lot of these runners, we don't know them, and so we don't know like what they're comfortable, the kind of person that likes to cruise but kind of push hard, or if they're like like Russ, who's just going to dig deep and he's going to give it all. You don't really know their history, and so it's just kind of like interesting to watch all of that kind of thing.
And even at the front of the field, isn't it? We see quite a spectrum of fatigue and facial expressions and all that with the front runners, like the 220 to 30 to 40, our marathoners, all those people in the top 10 and 20. We see a real spectrum with them too, don't we? Like some of those front runners, they're like the 225s, and there's a few, like I remember seeing that sort of fourth place. Like some of those guys like looked all right, like on the way back, 2Ks to go, but it's just different. Yeah, that's the thing with the marathon, isn't it? It's just funny the way the fatigue kind of works. What I did notice about those guys, they're just mentally like dialed in to what they're doing, and so they're kind of like looking all right, but their mental focus is just so in what they're doing right at the exact moment. It's like blocking everything else out, just focusing on that one thing they got to do.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's kind of like a really human natured thing. Like, as people, we can focus on something for like pretty hard for like 2 to 2.5 hours, and then and then it kind of starts like dwindling off. We start thinking about, are we hungry, or it's or not when we get up, if we're working, like let's get up, or just like other things, we start daydreaming. So these guys that are running sort of like that, well, I suppose 230 to under 3 really is like, it can be just game on, focus
focus for a 2.5 3 hours, dial it in,
carved up,
cool. And so also, so we had out on the course, we had our CMF Run Club members, we had our one-on-one coached runners, we had our I Am Hope runners, who's some of you whose coaching we were sponsoring is towards Auckland Marathon. We did that so those runners could just get on with their like training and raising their money, which is what their purpose was, and not having to worry about what they're doing for their running, and so we had those folks, and then we had Corey's running for sales runners out there also.
Yes, we had 3 clients that came through Corey. I'm a part of like a
prize, wasn't it?
Prize that he put together with a few other sponsors. So
those prizes were epic. It was like $500, or no, it was more. It was like $1,000 worth of stuff actually, because it was like $500 worth of skins. You remember?
Yeah.
And it was the entry to Auckland Marathon and other stuff.
Yeah.
Discounted coaching from us.
Yes.
Worth a good $300.
Sure. Yeah. And
there was a couple of other things, but that was like crazy prizes. So we had a few
Essex shoes, I think, as well.
Oh, some shoes, that's right. Yeah. Oh, and a really good discount code for them to use at Feel Me.
Awesome.
Yeah. I think it was like whatever, 30-40% or something.
Amazing.
Through Janine at Feel Me. So thank you to all you guys that put all that together, for that prize, and Corey for organising it.
Yeah, thank you, Corey. It was I think in the end I ended up coaching 2 clients, Warwick and Jess, and Chris ended up coaching Cam, and it was awesome coaching you 3, and it was awesome seeing you out there on race day as well, along with everyone else. So thanks a lot for that, Corey, and well done to you 3 as well.
And I Am Hope runners, I'll just say, like, we reached out to I Am Hope I don't know, during the year, and just kind of had this idea of wanting to help somewhere, like where's somewhere we can, help runners who are raising funds for a charity of their choice. And so, it's something I actually thought about for a couple of years, like how best can we do something like that? That's how, that's what we spend a lot of our time doing. How can we do CMF better?
Well, I like to joke with Chris that he is the optimizer and the processor. How can we optimize and process this better?
Yeah.
But that is part of business, really. We want to grow the business and grow the reach of who we can help as well. And
how can we help more runners? Yeah.
And I think, like a lot of us, speaking for myself, and is that we all got into running, maybe initially to help with our mental health. And then it's, whether we're still there with that or if it's transpired into, actually training and just getting better. Performance goals. But I think running has definitely helped me significantly in my mental health, especially as like a teenager and 20-year-old. And so things like that, it is a big thing that it can help. But obviously not all the I Am Hope funds are runners. The money that these runners raise goes to free counselling sessions for people that need these counselling sessions, whether they're runners or not.
Yeah. And that was a real awesome thing for me. And because as part of that process, we did just follow our normal processes that we do with our normal one-on-one coach runners, and starting with that initial coach call where you're talking to them on Zoom about their running and a bit about their life story, and it was just so cool. Chatting to a few of these runners who were raising money for I Am Hope, and just hearing their story actually and their why. Yeah, there's quite emotional, podcast quality stories actually. I remember, being on these calls with these runners, and just thinking to myself, man, this would be cool to record for a podcast. Because just quite emotional and just real life human stories, which have motivated these runners to, in most cases, run their first marathon, and as well as to raise funds for what was their motivation behind it too, So well done to you guys, so cool to be a part. And I have to say as well, those runners actually really trained.
Well. I trained a client, Alicia, and she had a pretty an inspiring story as well, and she did awesome with her training. She was around the sort of like the 6-hour kind of marathoner, so it's an entirely different experience out there for someone that's around her sort of time. But she did the training, and it was super. She raced really well. She didn't fall apart, and she just went out there and did it, and it was like. And not only that, she raised quite a lot of money for I Am Hope.
Oh, she was the number one.
Yeah, she told me, I think she raised for 32 free counselling sessions for for young people. So well done, Alicia.
That's so epic.
And I think also, I feel like she achieved a huge goal for her as well personally. Doing something that was out of her comfort zone. So kudos to you, Alicia. And you were super engaging in the training as well and communicating with me. And I think that's, when you communicate, with your coach,
it makes a big difference.
It makes a huge difference
for us. Knowing how this person is going, in their life and in their running, and it just makes a big difference to how best we can help you, with your running.
And that's something that we like to do is, we coach runners one-on-one. And that means interacting with that person one-on-one. And sort of learning about them as a person and how they run and what's best suited to that runner to get them to whatever their goal is in best shape possible.
Totally, that's what coaching is, so that was so awesome working with those runners, and can't wait to do that again. I really want to help I Am Hope runners more. It was so rewarding, and just to be a part of all of that. So cool. So let's move on to recovery post marathon.
Fun times.
Just what's the number one thing? Just
chill out.
ignore the Superman or Superwoman feeling you may be having now, tomorrow, Wednesday. Just relax. Yeah, that's the number one thing, eh? Because you can. Oh man, I've actually made this mistake actually on my first marathon that I did way back. Is I did my marathon and something like, and I was just feeling amazing. Like a few days afterwards, and because you're still emotionally high, like we were talking about before, you're still like sort of high from the event and full of energy, like that charges you up in that respect. But underneath in the body, there's this fatigue there, and I did something ridiculous, like went out for a run on Wednesday and like did this session, like ran hard, feeling like this amazing athlete, and injured myself. I injured myself, and I can tell you that I have heard this story so many times and been a part of that story so many times, in our group, in our wider community, whatever, and where runners have niggled and they get injured 1 and 2 and 3 weeks post a race.
Yeah, it's kind of like the niggle injury or the fatigue. I definitely relate to the over fatigue. I definitely have had all sorts of mental twists post race, which has led me into a deep hole of fatigue. So it's I think I kind of talked about it earlier on. It's like an area that I want to work on. It's just like chilling out after races and just allowing. We talked to another client afterwards, and I was like, "What race are you doing next?" And he's like, "I think I'm going to put some time into my family." It's as much as running is a big part of our lives. Maybe we have some few other aspects of our lives that we have been neglecting, whether it's the garden or the family as per se, or a little hobby that you've got. It's all right to take a mental break from hard out training and definitely take like a few days off. I noticed that like after you've done a hard race or whatever, like your nervous system can get a bit of a hammering. So like something like chilling out or a few days later going for a 20-minute run almost has the same effect on your body as it does if you've gone out for like a session or even an hour easy run, like because your body is still recovering. So it's kind of like getting that tick box feeling, going for a run and maybe getting some like endorphins pumping around and just getting out there, getting some fresh air, good for your mental health, and just checking how you're feeling, opposed to like I'm going out to run for an hour.
Yeah, for sure. And what are the sort of things that we prescribe to our runners? Because it doesn't mean recovery period doesn't mean you're not running. Some people get a bit freaked out. They're like, "Oh my god, I'm not going to be running." And also the other thing to acknowledge as well is that recovery cycles are part of training. So training just doesn't mean like when you're training for event specific like stuff. There's different cycles to training, recovery cycles, base builds, preparation phases, event specific phases, and so these are all the different sort of aspects to training that we can put in. So typical week after a race or like a big race, whether it's a marathon, ultra marathon, whatever, is pretty easy really. I normally have like 2 days of no running, like completely, and so it might be, depending on the person, it might be something like 15-20 minute walk the day afterwards, 2 days, 3 day, like that kind of thing. Like walking is a really good recovery tool. Slow walking on flat or in a little bush track or something like that.
Without your watch on.
Yeah, without the watch on too. Yeah, even like yeah.
It does actually make a difference actually, if you don't have, especially if you're the competitive type, you gotta run, you gotta walk at 10-minute Ks, or below even.
Just go out and get some movement and a bit of sunlight and a bit of fresh air and a bit of nature, and just have a nice walk and breathe. That's really nice.
Yeah, and then because if you are able to do that, then you're able to focus on better food choices because you're not like putting your body under stress and it's like, I need some carbs. where's the junk food at?
Yeah.
It's quite a bit of a joke. It's probably more on the trail scene because the fueling is just junk food. That the junk food after the race can become more appealing than during the race.
Yeah, sort of keep going.
Yeah, you're just drinking, having some lollies at 8 a.m. kind of thing or whatever. But
yeah, it's a good point that you make. Is I suppose for myself, say if I've done a race weekend, you sort of do have that, that night or maybe that next day where you kind of, you sort of the seafood needed diet, and but there's got to, I think for me, once you sort of get into the week after, the week is a couple of days after a race, you're sort of eating some good protein, some good fats and getting some good fats and proteins into you, some good whole foods, veggies, salad, fruit, just whole foods.
Yeah, and if you are like needing the carbs, like choose like the things like the creamer or the rice, opposed to like the processed carbs.
For sure.
Because it is sometimes necessary that we do have carbs.
For sure.
So just be mindful of try your best really to choose the right ones. And it is just I've definitely overdone it after like I said, after races, and then gone to Wednesday and I just end up binging on bad food because your body is just like, I'm done. And you're in bed eating whatever, so but I noticed that if I am kinder to myself and just run or don't run or whatever, I make better food choices.
You're just not digging the hole any deeper, are you, as well?
It's just going kind on yourself.
So don't be afraid to, this is what I always say to my runners, is don't be afraid to increase your meat consumption post race, because your body does need that extra protein and that extra saturated fat to repair, and so don't be afraid to do things like that.
Yeah,
because you put your body through a lot. You've put your body through a race, and you've taken things from it in order to do that marathon. So it wants some good stuff back.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that as well. You do increase your sort of meat consumption or your protein consumption, it does help with the sort of dipping into the carb well, the binge food well.
Yeah, it helps with the cravings of junk food, for sure, 100%.
It just makes you feel satiated, really.
Definitely. And also, fruit, don't be afraid to, nail extra fruit than you might do normally. It's, getting those fruit sugars in post-race, much better than slamming half a block of chocolate or whatever, So
and also another thing is that another little tip that I have used with clients as well is we maybe on average we spend 45 minutes to an hour running training. Instead of doing that training, you can get into bed and watch Netflix and sleep and watch Netflix. You still got that hour, and it's just the perception of time. We've always got time to train, but we don't always have time to chill, but we still have that hour. It's just the perception of how we spend that time.
It's often a mindset thing with a lot of our A-type personality runners, isn't it? As we sometimes feel guilty for, relaxing and lying down and chilling.
Yeah.
It's got to be doing something, got to be, there's all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and just another little thing is if you're unsure if you should go and do something, whether it's yoga or run, and you get 10 minutes in and you're like, oops, I made a mistake, I need to stop, then just stop. Delete the thing off Strava if you watch, if you need to. It's a right to be unsure, try, and then pull out of it. That's something that I have done as well. I even kind of did it yesterday with yoga. I got 10 minutes through and I was like, nah, this is going to be causing harm to me.
Abort.
Ashley. I'm going to stop and wait till tomorrow, because sometimes if we wait next day, whatever it is, whether it's a yoga session or the run or the walk, it's going to be a bit better because you're not as tired.
Yeah, for sure. So first couple of days is that gentle stuff. I even don't really recommend to a lot of my runners to go handy on the stretching the day after. I don't know what you recommend to your. I just think just let your body settle down a little bit first before putting in any crazy movements or whatever. So I'm not saying stretching is a bad thing or rolling or whatever, but just take it easy. You've just gone through a race, and just let your body sort of settle down a bit too. That's I like that walking. Or maybe you like water. You're a little bit of a swimmer.
Oh, yes.
That kind of thing, a short swim, or if you have a bike, that short bike, just spin especially if you have a trainer at home on your bike. Just that's easy spinning on the bike is also a really good recovery thing.
Yeah, I suppose, for me, I with my clients, I definitely have like the day off, like really do try to do nothing, kind of thing. And then, maybe, the Tuesday or the second day, like maybe go for a walk if you're feeling all right. And then, it's like that 20-minute sort of jog. And then I have also just like, it's been a huge race, like give yourself till Friday to go for your first run and like go for walks.
Yeah, I quite often, depending on like if it's someone's first marathon or ultra, I quite often won't have them doing a test run as such until that sort of Friday-ish, Saturday-ish, and it'd be walks. And then if they're a bit more of a seasoned runner or athlete and they've been with us for a while, done multiple races, all that kind of thing, it's a little bit different. It gets a little bit more bespoke then for them. They can be running sort of on that third day afterwards, isn't it? You can be walking the next day, the next couple of days, the next 1 and 2 days after the race, and then you're sort of running on the third day. Yeah. Typically, with that first test run, I like to call it, is, you don't have to run the whole thing either. Run, walk. Like, just, that's where RPE is really good. Like, so, using something like pace or heart rate in a first run back after a race is not really an advisable thing. Is why RPE is great in that circumstance. Like just easy 1 to 3 RPE out of 10. Like that's totally fine. Your heart rate might just be in zone 1 the whole run, and you might be walking every few minutes just because you're tired, and that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, for sure. It's just listen to your body basically, because your body tells you everything.
Yeah.
And it can be the run services, lots of different reasons. Post recovery run, just simply getting out for that 20 minutes can be good for you, whether you're running, walking, or crawling.
Definitely, it just helps push everything through, doesn't it? Helps everything move. Yeah, helps us mentally as well.
Yeah.
So and then the second week, we just sort of start to build on that a little bit, don't we? Really, we just sort of start to. By the second week, you're sort of 20 to 30-minute easy runs during the week, and depending on the runner or athlete, that second weekend after the race, a lot of folks can be up to that sort of 45, 60 sort of minutes, depending on what the race was, marathon or ultra or whatever. But a lot of folks can be around that 45, 60-minute mark. Yeah, and then once you get those 2 weeks done, it's kind of, especially I think post-road marathon, definitely into that third week, your sort of things start to look and feel a bit more normal. Certainly as you get through the week, it can be a bit funny that third week though, eh? Like, some people do get an energy dip like midway through that third week. We notice a lot.
Yeah, I've noticed that. Yeah,
I've had to, and we've both experienced that in our own running journey. Is that that third week, midweek, can be like, whew, why am I so tired? And we think that's a lot of that's just sort of that. I don't know, that sort of recalibration of our energy systems, our nervous system, and the emotion all sort of come off the race and then come down a bit, and it's just all that kind of stuff. And then maybe we've done a little bit too much on one or two things, like on that weekend before or the start of the third week. We just pushed that a little bit too hard, or we're just like fully back into work, like pushing hard on something, and then we just get a little bit more tireder. Than we would normally from doing something. That kind of thing we see quite often, eh?
Definitely, and I think it's just in that sort of period, probably in the first month, like your energy systems are just all over the place. You're going to have some days you're like, I'm feeling great, and then like the next day you're like, oh my gosh, and it's probably just part of that recalibration of your energy systems, and it's just like not sure whether it's Arthur or Martha, and it's just sort of riding it out and just adjusting depending on what sort of happens to you personally. And yeah, just allowing some time really.
Yeah.
And it's a good mental break if as well, just not being stuck in the plan or stuck in a session kind of thing.
Yeah. So yeah, these are some these are quite broad stroke recommendations. There is outliers who do recover quite fast, or advanced athletes who do recover a little bit quicker. But these are quite quite general for most of our most runners and athletes, even advanced. Yeah. Just a few outliers, eh?
Definitely, yeah. And then that's just humans. There's a few outliers.
A few outliers. And there's some people that take longer to recover too. Like some people might be more like 4 or 5 weeks, even 6. Some people. Yeah. So yeah, we do see variants. So but that sort of 3-ish weeks is sort of that general for most of us. It's around that kind of way, eh? Do you think about that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I would say so as well. Yeah.
Post marathon. So anything else we want to add just to recap this?
Yeah, we maybe just focus like on your sleep quality or your sleep times. Adding in a few extra naps, kind of like what I said earlier on, instead of going for an hour run, do a 20-minute run and then spend 40 minutes chilling out or something, some version of it. And yeah, because that sleep is where we do a lot of our recovery, and will help get our energy systems back into equilibrium.
And just get to bed like at reasonable hours and that kind of thing. One of the things I have to be careful of is not to dig myself into a caffeine hole post events, because I like coffee, and caffeine is something I have to be quite careful of, because it does affect me. And so post event or post event week, I'm tired, and so I want to reach for something to keep me awake, and then so I go for the caffeine, but then I end up digging this hole because then I don't sleep very well at night because I've got all this caffeine running in my system, and so I just ultimately don't recover as well as I could because I'm digging this caffeine hole.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's all sorts of like personal twists. There's also like don't like starve yourself of food as well.
Oh my God, no.
And so I've stopped training as hard, and so I'm going to suddenly gain weight. So I'm just going to restrict what I eat because the output's not as high. One thing I've learned over the years is that my body doesn't I don't suddenly gain a whole lot of weight just because I stopped training as hard. So if you're on that, just it's just a continuation of being kind to yourself and making enough, eating enough and eating enough of the right foods. So there's that just came into my mind. And also I was going to say try to limit your time on your phone.
Oh yes, that is a really good one.
Yeah, so I found myself like yesterday afternoon, going on obviously Instagram and seeing heaps of posts from Auckland Marathon. Then I woke up this morning and I first of all thought about Auckland Marathon and social media. And social media can be a very encouraging, supportive community or a forum, but it also can be really tiring. And it's not just the social media, it's looking at the screen is quite hard on your eyes and your
mentally.
And so just be wary of that. And if you find yourself sort of staring at the wall and then staring at your phone, try put your phone away, and it's probably a sign that you're tired. And what do you do when you're tired? You go and have a nap. So you don't have to read a book or anything like that, but just go listen to some nice relaxing music and go chill out in bed and things like that. Try have a nap.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I noticed that too whenever I'm kind of tired post race weekend. Yeah, for some reason the phone just kind of is that tired and wired thing, isn't it? You sort of get drawn into the scrolling, the mindless scrolling
vortex of social media.
And then it there's research about this as well, how it just sort of does something to your eyes and your mind, and you're just on the screen, that blue light, or it's just doesn't actually aid our recovery from what we've just done.
Definitely not.
Yeah. So I think that's about it for this one, isn't it? I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. And if anyone's training for Tarawera Ultramarathon, just reach out to us. We can give you a 2-week free trial. We'll put the links for that in below. We'll put our other links for Run Club and our social links in as well.
Yeah, and I was just thinking if you wanted to talk about Auckland Marathon and tell us how you went in your race, or if you have any recovery tips yourself as well,
drop it in the comments.
Drop it in the comments. And yeah, if you want to, contribute to this podcast in any way by doing that, that would be great. We'd love to hear from you.
And any other topics as well, training stuff. We're going to start pushing these out more regularly now.
Yeah, we're here to help you more than to help ourselves. So let us know what you'd like to hear from us.